trying to get my fucking tabs switching here, and it's driving me nuts. I can't get it to work. There we go. That works. All right. Boys, fix that TNT. Which I think is lower. Boys, fix that TNT. Get it? Rub it all over my body. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. So he's this is a scene with the TNT guy. So we're just gonna do some quick layout sketches to figure out what the hell he's doing, and then start animating a couple key poses. All right. Let's see. So he's on the scene. He's just kind of gesturing forward. There's a bunch of stuff being unloaded, and he's just kind of gesturing, doing all of this shit right here. So we're gonna have him kind of, I guess, he's just gonna be standing. His classic stance with his hands on his hip kind of thing. And then he's probably going to be going from this to turning his head, and then he's going to be gesturing. What the fuck? I said over here. And then I should be pointing. You know what? I don't even fucking need to fucking draw this one out. This one's fucking easy to do. So we're just gonna fucking start animating. All right, let's see here. Yeah, it works. All right. I'm gonna update this real quick. I did some tweaking earlier. What the hell is that? Oh, this is jaw. All right. Boop, doop, boop. Fixing a couple little things on the my viewport here. Sometimes when I have some of these older assets, they don't have certain settings saved, and so we're just gonna refresh a couple of these guys. All right. Well, it's been kind of active the last couple of months. There's a Patreon going on. These episodes are actually finally continuing after like a 12-year hiatus. Well, not really 12 years, definitely 8, but you know what I mean. All right. I don't want this code on because it's a dynamic object, and this belt is kind of off-centered here a bit. You know what? I need to fix that on the base rig. Don't know why that's off-centered. I can tweak it. No, I need to fix that on the base rig. So we're just going to hide that for now. I didn't catch that. All right. Start moving. So I like to grab all the body controls and set a keyframe just to keep everything where it's at on the first frame. And usually it's the starting frame of whatever I'm going to be animating for that character's pose here. So let's turn off select geometry. Don't need that shit. So I'm going to tweak some settings real quick. There we go. Well, thanks, man. I do appreciate it. All right, so we can give him that stance I was kind of sketching out. Pull him back a little bit. Get that arm on that hip. Pull the elbow back a bit. A little wider stance here. I'm also gonna turn off some controls here. I want to turn off his twist here. So I got all kinds of different controls. We'll lock the twist contours of the leg and stuff like that. Sometimes I have those things kicked on, but sometimes I want these characters to have like a more of a straighter kind of direct situation with their leg, and it's so bendy. So sometimes I'll turn those off just to unlock that stuff. Yeah, there we go. No, you know what? No, I want to keep those on. I forgot that he has that jacket on. Sometimes this helps in-cloth objects not getting catch between their torso and their legs. So we're going to keep it that way. And let's roll his pelvis out a bit, chest out a little bit. And kind of want to get a better straight line here, but I want to keep his legs kind of apart. And let's see. Pull his eyes over a bit. Pull that brow down a little bit further. Let's get his eyes a little squinty. Let's get those eyes a little higher too. I'm gonna rest right underneath his brow there. There we go. Now there was a different character that was going to be introduced a while ago, like a mayor of the city called Cobbleblock, but Cobbleblock is technically now just that messenger dude. The raving villager. But there's a lot of, if you hang on the Patreon, I typically update every day, and there's been a lot of things that have been over the last month and a half been filled in about what's going on with the story and production and stuff like that. So if you just you don't have to pay to become a member, but if you jump on there, you can see I upload a lot of stuff up there constantly about all that stuff. And then yesterday's stream, I kind of did a kind of a run through for those who haven't been up to date on it for the last 12 years, and just kind of gave kind of like a little quick summary catch up about everything. Let's pull that. So if you're interested in that stuff, the previous stream has a lot of that. All right. That works. All right. Let me go ahead and set his face controls too. All right. So I'm going to kind of do, sometimes I just do straightforward animation. Sometimes I block it out. This one, I'm going to actually block out pose to pose because how long the character's standing between these gestures is unknown at the moment. So I'd rather just keep that, not worrying about the timing so much and make sure he can just hit his marks. All right, so starting there, and then he's going to end up, and for me, I just kind of 10 frames or so is fine for keeping a buffer to just kind of block out these frames. Sometimes I put it on steps, sometimes I don't. All right, so he's going to start here. You know what? Let's go ahead and freeze that for 2 frames, just in case if I budge him. Every once in a while, sometimes I'll move a frame that shouldn't be moved. So we'll get him to kind of twist a little bit. He needs to kind of look the other way a bit, but I want to kind of keep his neck kind of stiff. And then in this, I'll probably try to turn his head first before he turns his body. He's not somebody who would put a lot of effort into moving if he doesn't have to. I'm just going to hold that for a little bit. And so forth. So I can give it a little bit of breakdown here. I can kind of maybe drag that head a little bit. So kind of do a little bit of dip. And then up. It didn't take much. Maybe a little bit on the chest here. Have that kind of turn a little bit prematurely. There we go. Sometimes animating's easy. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. Oh, Kimberly Hills has been like canceled. There's a big cancel thing on the sign. There's a big drilling rig and shit like that being established where it's at. Let's see here. Since the updates, a lot of the stuff that's happened to Minecraft over the years has kind of made some things in the story redundant. Kimberly Hills. All right, that's good. And then he's gonna do a what the hell kind of gesture here. I thought was saying it's gonna be over there. So we're gonna. All right, arms are not supposed to bend that far. Pull it down. Since he's kind of lifting his arms up here, we're gonna kind of motion the other direction here. Put his arms forward, so he's gonna kind of might actually even step back here. He's gonna come up, and then he's gonna step back and kind of lean forward with this arm gesture here. Let's go ahead and turn on autoclave here. I have a little like autoclave thing. It's basically kind of set up for our other character rigs, is where if you start raising the shoulder after a certain point, the clavicle starts to lift up with it. For the Minecraft guys, I just basically have it kind of a sloppy kind of way to get a little bit more extension on the arm without having to manually animate it. So I was gonna come up here and gesture that over, give him a little more point there. One of those things that maybe I should have done this initially in World Space. It's all right. Just kind of twist that arm a little bit. Let me kind of fire out. Take that shit there. Put that shit over there. I need to get that twist out of that elbow there. You see, I do a lot of this stuff just in IK. I don't really flip it to FK very often in the Minecraft stuff. For me, I find it as a bit of a time saver. It's not really any way to just avoid Minecraft characters not clipping through their own appendages all the time. So, unless you being super careful about it, certain like in frame stuff like that, I'll do that, but not very often. All right, let's get that. Let's get this other arm here to kind of pull out a little bit wider. Point that elbow back. Maybe a little bit higher on that, so we can get a little bit of a flick in there. And I kind of want him to. I don't want the hand gestures to be synced up, perfect timing. I kind of want them to lag a little bit. All right, so he can throw his hands down here a bit, and then we're gonna maybe put a little bit of weight in that. So when he throws his hands down, put a little bit of weight in his torso, and then back up again. Get a little more weight on this. Arm, maybe a little bit wider. Yeah, get a little wider on this. So most of the shit I'll just fucking be saying here mumbles. Every once in a while I'll check out the chat, answer some questions, but most of the time I'm just going to be more focused on getting this. Ooh, that was sloppy. What? Pull his chin down a little bit. Drag his head a little bit. Maybe a little bounce there. Relax. So get a little settle. That's about it. And then he's finishing his dialogue here. I forgot what it was. And then get a little pause there between the stasis of that dialogue there. So if I have to stretch it out or compact it, depending on how long the word is, I can just move those keyframes over. All right. Gestured. Boom. He's going to hold that for a second because we don't know what the fuck he's doing. And he's going to go into a strong gesture into the other direction here. So, boom. And then I'm going to have him... Yeah, I'm going to have him step back on that. So, he's right here, when he starts to gesture, I'm going to have him squat and then step back right here. So we can just kind of hold those frames there. There we go. Let's roll that foot up a little bit. And then touch there. So maybe a little bit of lift, not much lift, just a little bit. Also got snapping on and turn that shit off. Boom. And then I got a bit of a knee pop on there, so I'm going to go ahead and roll that foot back a little bit. Get a little bit of settle on that hip there. A little more. There we go. All right, so let's kind of throw his weight down. And then up. Pull that leg up, maybe the side a little bit before he rests it down. Drop that hip weight in there a little bit. Then up. There we go. That's a little bit too much. Kind of dampen that down. I'm gonna put a little keyframe in between and pull that fucker out. Kind of soften that bounce a bit. So it doesn't really need that roll anymore on that foot. Yep, we're good. All right, cool. Gesture down, and then we're gonna have him swing his body to the other side. So this one makes it kind of straightforward it instead of pose to pose here. So we're gonna have him dip a little bit. Do about 4 frames. So it's gonna come in and then angrily kind of gesture to the right of him, or left of him actually, stage left. Pull his kind of a arc in there. Up. I'm kind of watching this chest here, dipping down. Roll him over a little bit more. And then down. We get a little bit better of an arc going on there. I'm drag that chest a little bit further. Boom. And settle. Get a little bit of a wonk right there. It's probably just the tangents here. Yep. There we go. All right. So we're going to have him kind of push off with that leg there. Let's roll it back. Lift it. And then step. I want that foot to hang a little bit longer, not lift up so soon. There we go. Make it kind of sticky. Make it like that. Feel like that. Make that foot kind of feel like it's grabbing the ground there. Boom. All right. So this leg here now is getting some funky twist going on here. So we can either move that knee controller and kind of get some more twist on that, or we can kind of cheat it. And this is a big problem with Minecraft stuff, is keeping it from getting too wonky. I mean, the twist is nice, but when it starts to bend here, it gets kind of wonk. So I want to kind of clean up that shape there. So I can turn off twist there to help ease it. And that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. All right, let's get that arm. So I want to kind of get this gesture of arms, going to kind of his weight of his gesture is going to kind of propel his body over. So we're going to lift his hand up here, and I'm going to lock the wrist so I don't have to worry about the bendiness of it. I'm going to kind of dip that arm down a little bit too. A little bit of anticipation here. Nice kind of little mini circle going up. Bring that shoulder up a bit. A little bit of dip there. Drop that shoulder back down a bit. There we go. Well, I just want to make sure that we don't have that foot and that arm ending in the same frame. So we're doing okay with this so far. Boop, 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 boop. Let's do the same thing. Let's lock that wrist. Get a little snap in that wrist there before we lock it up. A little bit of a drag there, just a little one, just a little bloop. Little fall through. Which way is this elbow pointing on the scene? Down. All right, we'll keep it down. I kind of want to disconnect the shoulder a little bit because I want to get that arm out in front here. And I think for the pose, for the readability, I think I'm going to untwist that arm a bit. So we're going to roll it up a little bit, just so it makes it a little bit simpler silhouette. Arm drag it a little bit more. There we go. Bum, 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 bum. All right. Can hold that for a little bit. And then, say about 95 here, we start the process of him stepping to turn the other direction. I think I'm going to have the other leg kind of come in here. So he's not so bow-legged, even though it's appropriate for the character. Since it's occurring, we got to throw some body weight into it. So now when he steps up, He needs to put his weight into this foot more so he can lift the other foot up and then back down. There we go. Ba-da-ba-ba-bum. Maybe continue the gestures with some head nods. Let's get the head tree a little bit better. Let's see what we got here. He'll don't know. If he becomes interested, he might hop on. If he's not, then he doesn't. So myself, I do not know. This first couple episodes here, I'm just kind of busting them out myself. I got a Patreon going on to help support that process. All right. Boom. Gesture. And then I need him to have one more gesture in this process here. Get a little bit of gap there on that arm. But you know what? No one will ever see it. So up, down, and then I'm gonna pick that up shit over there. Grab their shit and put it in a bag. Alright, so and then I need, that's right, it's gonna be turning the opposite direction. So he needs to be facing away from the camera on this next one. So we're gonna have him kinda getting his attention. I'll go back in and get the facial movements here afterwards. So he's gonna turn a little bit. Let's get a little bit of kind of soften that. There we go. And then he's going to, from here, step again. And then we want him to be, it's about 5 seconds in, turned around here. So we got to get his legs to be where they need to be here. He's kind of like acting like a foreman in this scene here. All right. So he's going to lead. Let's kind of scoot these feet around. He's going to lead with that foot here. So maybe about 8 frames. We can make him actually make a step here. And then another foot. As soon as that one hits, let's just step around. And then he'll probably make another little step here. We can actually turn this foot a little bit more if we wanted to. I'm going to do that. And then maybe out a little bit further. Kind of want to hold that frame maybe a little bit longer. There we go. There's so many commercials on this shit. That's disappointing. Anyway. Bum ba dum ba dum. All right, fancy foot action, step, step, and then let's roll these feet. All right, so it's kind of slide that foot back, and then about here, we'll heel toe it, heel toe, and do the same thing with the other foot here. Start to roll it up a little bit. A little faster. Nope, that's too fast. This needs to be delayed. There we go. And then we'll throw his body weight over his other foot. All right. So this is another one of those things where I was talking about twist. I'm going to turn that shit off. Why does it get a little too janky? I'll soften that twist out. All right. Let's throw his weight over. So he's going to step over on that foot here. So he's going to lift him up. Get that weight over. Puts it on that leg. Tip him over a bit. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, still got some funky twist in there. Let's cut that shit out. Pull his ass back a bit too. He's kind of too far forward here. Keeping his balance. All right, let's tip him onto the other foot. Put his weight over on there. We'll kind of push him over on that foot a bit again. And then into his rest pose. He's a little bit bent there a little bit. I normally just don't have him always standing straight up. He's always kind of squatting a bit, so we'll just kind of keep that going. And then we can take his hip here and kind of balance it out a little bit more if we need to. Okay, these commercials are fucking ridiculous. I gotta change this fucking channel. All right. Hey, you nerd. I'm not a nerd. Shut up, bro. Fuck, is that shit even playing? Oh, it is. Okay. We're good. All right. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 4, step 5. You're still younger. You're always going to be younger. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, there's a beat. All right, so he's kind of he's kind of fucking forward on that fucking stance there. So I need to kind of pull him forward just a bit more on that step there. I actually don't know how wide he is in this shot. All right, we can kind of clean up a little bit of this with his hip here. So we can. So right before he steps here, we need to kind of indicate that he's going to shift his weight over. So we're just going to push his hip over and then lift it. And then we can kind of start tilting it down as he puts his weight on that foot, because it's kind of a harsh twist there. Otherwise, he's got to do a couple more steps to kind of step around. That's one thing annoying thing about Minecraft characters and the big-ass blocky feet is that feet usually kind of taper, and you can put like feet next to each other when a person's going to turn around and, from a stance and turn. But with fucking Minecraft, it's fucking pain in the ass. So for me, I just kind of make them wobble like penguins. Boom, boom. All right, just kind of get that hip to level out. You can kind of delay that twist a bit. And we'll kind of break his symmetry a bit, give him a little bit of curve there. It's like he's dancing with somebody invisibly. Let's go dancing, baby. Doot, doot, doot. Fucking waltz. All right. All right. So when he comes in here and after he gestures here, these arms are kind of useless. So when he kind of turns his head here, I'm going to have this arm kind of relax. And it's just kind of going to be counterbalanced. And then I'm just going to do the same thing with the other arm. So I'm just going to do one arm at a time here. So he's going to turn. Maybe a little bit too early on that. Maybe just a slow start to relax on this arm here before he starts turning. Oh, fucking Justin, don't get him going. God damn it, dude. I hate you. I've been trying to avoid as much as is possible. I actually have no idea what's been going out there. I probably won't even see the movie. Fingers. There's fingers on here, but I don't hardly ever use them anymore. I mean, I have like 1 or 2 scenes, I think, in the last episode that actually even use a finger, and it's just one for scratching his side of his face, and then I think the scene with his pinkies out holding a espresso cup, and that's it. So it's also a time saver, not have to deal with hands. So a couple years ago, I was animating some characters that were very handsy, and it was a situation where the hands literally took more time to animate than the rest of the character itself. Just because there was a lot of hand contact. It was a lot of close-up shots of characters interacting with stuff, and so since then I'm still fucking. That was years ago, and I'm still burnt out about that shit. So if I can cut down hands, it cuts down like a quarter of the time animating. And being Minecraft, I can just get away with it. So, and plus, I find hands on for Minecraft kind of too busy. Like, I have like 3 or 4 different versions I've done, and all of them are kind of chunky. The best ones I've done were like very gooey, but the problem is it doesn't match the rest of the Minecraft character. They're too soft. So then the rest of the character has to become soft too, and I really don't want him to do that. I dabble with that for a little bit, but I rather have the characters very rigid and retain that blockiness. I mean, it's a little bit more fun to animate when they're all bendy and shit, but keeping this blockiness in it is a little bit design-wise more refreshing, and plus it can make pretty good silhouettes. All right, so he steps in forward here. Okay, so since that foot's going back here, he needs to kind of counterweight with his arm, and I started throwing his arm back. It's actually the opposite what would be going on here. He actually would kind of be resting it forward here. So let's kind of get rid of that. I boo-booed there by going the wrong direction. So it's just going to relax his arm, but he's not going to throw it back. And then when he steps forward here, this is when he kind of throws his arm back. And let's go ahead and put his shoulder back in socket. And then when he steps down here, it's going to be a little bit of weight being thrown down. So I'm going to go ahead and throw his arm down just a bit from that step. And then bounce. There we go. There it goes. That should work out pretty good. I kind of want to start pulling his arm towards his body though. Sometimes I get sloppy with this stuff. If you notice, a lot of times when I do these animations, I just do one pass and I go like, meh, good enough, and then I go to the next one. Otherwise, the shit would take a lot longer. So steps there. We can throw that arm a little bit, even a little bit further back. And then kind of do a relaxer. You know what? He put his hand back on his hip here. Oh, that's a hard bump. There's no coke involved. Yep. Let's get rid of that bump. And let's kind of raise that arm up a little bit. Since he's going to be kind of throwing his hand back on his hip here. Raise it up. And then down. And when he does that, we can kind of raise his chest up a little bit. And then when he settles his arm down, we can kind of drop that shoulder back down a little bit. There we go. And the funny thing is, I actually started not doing like any half pixels and stuff like that. I used to kind of do that stuff every once in a while to get away with those things. I actually started like getting rid of it. I mean, there's little things I had on some of the versions of DigBuildLive where I had like little eyebrow lines because I would sketch it. That's how I would sketch them out. I got rid of that shit. Mainly as a kind of time saver, and also there's some elements with the rendering engine that made it a little bit easier. And I kind of like the look more. So I got rid of a lot of those sketchy line things. One thing I still do have is the hard creases, like when somebody has like bags under their eyes or they're furrowing the brow really hard. I still keep those. Every once in a while, there's scenes like this character here where actually will have them come up in a couple scenes where he's squinting. But I put really hard steps in them. I don't do like the soft gooiness. It's just like very harsh, almost like drawn lines. And I kind of enjoyed that better. And plus, it made it a little bit easier a little bit quicker to animate when those features are very straightforward like that. All right, so let's get this other arm going. So this is kind of just still pointing out here in the middle of nowhere. All right, so same thing. I'm gonna kind of have this arm kind of start to relax as well. Pull that shoulder back. And let's keep Havoc coming down here. Just gonna roll that elbow back out in the direction here. Let's twist that elbow out a little bit further. And then we'll kind of keep swinging that arm back. And then as he steps it back the other way here, let's kind of throw it forward. And then kind of relax. Kind of drop that shoulder a bit too over here. So we're kind of ending in a nicer pose here. Because he's going to be kind of standing like this in that shot, I think. So we can raise that shoulder and then kind of drop it. And kind of fling that shoulder up a little bit higher. A little bit more drag on this arm here. We can actually kind of swing this arm in a bit and then back out. I'm kind of forgetting a bit that he has a coat. And I'm going to make sure that I make enough room for his arms. I got a little tool that like pushes his arms out just in case if there's a character's set up here. There we go. That works. Steps around like a midget. That's right. This might be slowed down too. Like I was saying earlier on this is broken down not so much on the worried about pacing so much, as more worried about the poses. Because there's a little bit of dialogue that bleeds in here at the beginning of this. Alright, let's kind of get his eyes just right here a little bit. Since I've really done anything his face. Alright, so I want him to kind of be looking the other way first. And then probably put a blink. And then look. Yeah. And then 0.1. Just kind of widen those out a little bit. Take your shit there and put it over there. Now, I can kind of retain that eye contact until he actually kind of turns. So I keep looking at the other guy, even though he's just out of vision because he got fucking square heads. I can't see past those corners. But the audience doesn't know that. And then we'll kind of have him look the other way. And then I want him to kind of quickly gesture back. Don't know how long that's going to be held there. And then he's going to look over. And then we're actually not going to see much of his eyes anymore in this scene here, but we'll center him out anyways. All right. And then I want him to blink in the middle of some of these transitions here. So from here to here, it's kind of like an animation norm is often when you have a character start to look the other direction or aim their focus in the other direction to give them a blink. And I just have a control for some of these setup where like the eyebrows would move with the blinking and stuff like that. And after time and doing other systems, working on other projects, I realized that I wanted more control, not always having that in there. So I might add a slider back on this thing where I have like an influence on it. But for the time being, I'm just keeping it manual. So it looks over. And then I kind of want his eyes widen in annoyance right here. Give some emphasis on the word he says, your shit. And then here, maybe another blink. Maybe keep him close for a little bit. Should squint. And then wide. Over there. No blink on that one there, but it's a little too fast on that gesture there. But I want to blink on when he turns his head again. And let's get a little stretch and squash here too. So when he's Starting to pull down here and look at a little squash on his head. Oh, his hat's not tied to it. Well, I gotta have to fix that. His hat and the cigar. I'll have to make sure I do that. Down and then up, and then I need to fix that belt too. So hold on, we're gonna go to his base rig here. And tweak this real quick. All right. So this is the source file for him. I don't know why his hat's not working. I have it under the wrong group, I guess. Yep, I do. So that, and his nose need to all be in that group. There we go. And then his belt needs to be shimmied over. So I skinned it, but I accidentally messed it up. So I want to go to its import the intermediate mesh here. There it is. The way to kind of cheat this shit. Hide that one. There we go. It needs to be over just a hair, if I remember right. All right. Cool. Yep, save that shit. All right, then we can just resume it. So I just popped into his base file here, and then so I can just resume this stuff as is. But now I can actually turn his belt, not his jacket, his belt. There it is. All right, now his stretching squash should work with his head. Cool. All right. Or his hat and the cigar. All right, kind of gets in here, and he kind of squashes a bit, and then up. And then when he throws his weight down here, I want a little bit more squash on his head. Maybe a little bit more than that. There we go. Feel it. Ugh. Okay, he's kind of too stiff-necked here. I want to try to twist his torso around a little bit. So as he starts to step here, I want to maybe bend him over a little bit, make it a little bit looser. Even though he's a stiff motherfucker, I want to kind of get him to twist into that step there a little bit faster. Oop, I don't need to play last, thank you. There we go, that's better. There we go. Ba-da-bum-bum. This one actually, no, this is actually part of Respawn. There's in the Patreon site, there's they kind of go through all that stuff. But there's like 3 episodes that are kind of been overlapping depending on the content that they have on them. But this one is actually part of Respawn, not so much episode 3. I actually don't even know if, I don't think he actually even shows up in part 3 of episode 6. Respawn's just kind of a reintroduction kind of thing. It's fill a couple holes. And the main character, Tim, is not really much in it, except for the very end of it. It's more of what's kind of going on with some filling some story hole gaps that were just left unattended to, and that, and just like a little montage of the computer booting up and stuff like that on there. And it should be up sometime in the middle of next month. And this is one of the little transitional scenes. All right, boom, 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 gesture over there. All right, you know what? Aside from tightening this up, it's pretty much good for me. Let's turn on that trench coat here. And I'm going to go to his base controls here. And I'm just going to put him in a starting position. Sometimes I just do this so it makes it easier to not dick around with in-class stuff if there's an in-class element. And I thought this usually I had this start at -10. Apparently not today. That's right. Time -10. Yep. All right. Let's give enough time here to rest. Maybe 160 frames or whatever. And then I'll go back in and work on his. You know what? He's got some dialogue. Like I said, he's got some dialogue that kind of bleeds in here. I don't really want to do much on his facial expression until I drop that in there. So I'm just going to do a little bit with his eyebrows, and that's about it. This hat's in the way. So boom. Maybe we'll kind of lift the brow there a little bit. Maybe pull him down a little bit on that blank. What? Pull him back down again and kind of maybe a little bit of frustration. We'll pull that furrow brow thing in a little bit, get a little bit of angry eye in there. This is actually where I want him to kind of open his eyes a bit. Go back to being kind of annoyed. Let's open those eyes a little bit on that gesture there. Maybe turn that into a blink. I want to kind of stiffen up this trench coat a little bit. Let's see here. 5. Let's just boop doop. Let's go 2. The stretch damp needs to be much higher. There we go. That's better. Got a little bit of collision going on here. We can kind of thicken this up. And this hasn't been extruded yet for his jacket. So let's go 2. Let's bring some friction up there. Let's go ahead and actually extrude that jacket out a little bit since we're here. Oh, wait, no, I need to do that to the other fucking base rig, not on here. That would have been bad. All right, so this arm here, it's got a collider on it. I don't know why it's turned on. So turn off those arm collides. I don't need them to pinch the jacket. Oh, that's what's kicking this belt here. Kicking through. You know, again, I make that a rigid object. Let's see. Thickness is fine. It just pushes out just enough. It might give it some problems. There we go. Yeah, I know, and I gotta do all that Patreon stuff, dude. I gotta set all that stuff up. I mean, the only thing I have is like the thanks on the end of the fucking. I've done the credits for one of the episodes. One of the first people from the first month. I gotta get all those plugins and everything else going. Oh, we're there was a concept at one time is rebooting it, but no, it's basically just taking picking up where it left off. Things have been integrated, and enough of Minecraft has changed to actually help us in a way. What there is, there's an episode where it's a montage of the world being updated and new things being integrated in Minecraft as Tim is dying. He's just a montage of him dying over and over again, and the world around him evolving and being updated with new versions of Minecraft. And that's kind of the segue to kind of integrate old Minecraft with the new Minecraft, um, um, and so forth. All right, I'm done. I'm done. Tired of looking at this dude. Until I drop in the lip sync, he's pretty much good to go. All right. I'm not going to cache that jacket because I'm going to probably change some timing here. But he seems to work out pretty good. I'll see who's next on the list. But yeah, it pretty much just takes up. I mean, literally one of the episodes takes, like the beginning of part 3, literally continues exactly from like he's still wet with the bucket of water on him, and it just moves forward from that point. There's another scene with him in it. Oh, he's lighting some TNT, of course. So let's fucking get that. Uh, um, no, wait, no, the other guy is fucking lighting the TNT. What scene was it that he was in? The other guy's driving the fucking train car. There's a scene where he's opens the door of the train car. Fuck. Um, damn it. All right. New scene. Let's create a reference here. I want that dude. Bum. I'll turn that off. Show, viewport, none. I used to have a little drop down for this, and it doesn't work with Maya 2024, which is annoying. So I gotta figure out the command for it. What it does, it just toggles on the things that I need real quick, so I don't have to do this manually every time. All right. So the scene here is let's save this. I can see some scenes. Spoilers. Let's see. I call this any TNT gang, and this is train car slide door. Actually, train car door. There we go. I really actually don't know at the moment. It's just trying to. It's not really a Kickstarter. Because if I did a Kickstarter, I'm afraid that it'd be 6 months until an episode gets put out. But the Patreon thing just kind of keeps my ass in gear, so I can keep working on it throughout the month, even if it's just driven by guilt. So, but maintainably, like the situation is like if it becomes a situation where the Patreon is self-supportive, where I can just be working on this full time, then I'll just be working on this full time. But until that occurs, I still have to do my other gig and commissions and stuff, shit like that. So, but if it hits it, cool. At the moment, there's some perks being sent out for the first 25 that were signed up. If that's maintainable, I'll extend that out to maybe like 50 patrons. And there's like sticker packs, and um, the first 25 patrons get their avatar in a scene or two in some episodes, and about 7 or 8 of them have already been animated and done. Um, and sometimes just they're there for a few frames, sometimes they're there for a few seconds. Um, so that's like one of the perks of the first 25. And but a lot of that stuff's gonna probably evolve and change as time goes on. For right now, the first couple of months, just kind of slow rolling into all this stuff, making sure I'll actually be able to stick with it. But the whole Patreon thing is like, the more it's into it, the more it's like, well, I can get a couple new servers for render machines, and I can render the episodes out faster. There's just a lot of those things can be put into that style of funding. Because hell, I still got equipment here, and some chunks here that are 12 years old. All right, so he's gonna be sliding the train car. I don't want to open the train for the scene, but the lovely thing about Minecraft and everything is on a grid system, so I know exactly how tall things are. So this is actually 32 by 4 by 4. Whoops, with 32. There we go. So it's a train car, and there's a little handle on it, but we'll get up to that. 16. So I'm just going to kind of keep this simple for me. Nope, it's not that thick. I think it's just 2. All right, so what I'm going to do here to drive this scene is I'm actually going to use the train car door here as the driving force here, and then probably lock apparent constraint a hand to it or something like that. All right, so we'll go boom, and then let's give it a hold, maybe 20 frames or so. No, let's give it like, yeah, about 20. No, longer, about 40 frames. And then we'll slide that door over, and we want to kind of partially slide over, and then fully slide over. So I'm just keeping this at 0. Honestly, you know what? I don't know if I can group that shit. Train door. We'll call it. Give it a fucking. It's a proxy technically. It's a stand-in. All right. And then I want it to kind of budge once, kind of quickly. So boom. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk, and then hold for a second, and then slide all the way open. This is actually the first time you see this guy again. So I kind of want to pull, hold. No, let's hold a little longer. Let's hold for almost a full second, and then slide all the way open. And slide it all the way open. 1, 2, probably a little bit less than a second. Gonna overshoot it and have it relax back. So boom, and then slide all the way over. No, I want this to be a little bit. I want the delay a little bit longer. Let's check this delay here. Let's see. Also, I need to turn off Nucleus if it's running. Playback speed, real time. So, boom, boom. Okay, that's fine, but the door sliding all the way open is a little too slow for me, and I should speed it up a little bit. So, as I said, I'm just using this door here as my timing. No, I want that door to open further. So I need to give it more time. It's going to be traveling more distance. So let's go, what's half of 12? So that would be 44. And it's kind of overshoot it there, so 44.25 or something like that. Boom. I want that fucker to swing way open. One thing you might notice too is that scaling. So this is always an issue with Minecraft characters, doorways and stuff. So throughout the scenes, you might even seen this. If you have a character, the Minecraft character, at normal height, the top of their heads skim the doorways. They're literally, 2 blocks high. I'm 2 blocks high. So throughout the series, characters will actually scale a little bit depending on how tall their heads are, especially like villagers and stuff like that. So this scene here, I actually gotta fucking do it because he's actually inside of a doorway, gonna be peeking out, and notice that his hat is actually higher than the frame here. So we are going to scale him down a bit. So 0.95. I just want him to be kind of level with that door. So this is a common thing that happens quite often. That's good enough. No, actually, most of my time is spent painting. I oil paint most of the time now. I actually just hopped on doing computer stuff again a few months ago. There was another person who hit me up about a commercial gig, and about the same time, I ended up finding a backup drive with all this Minecraft stuff on it, and that's what the whole kind of thing kind of occurred. It's like, you know what, meh. Him and Han on it bitched about it for about a month if I was gonna do it or not, and then I finally fucking caved in and decided like, well, since I have everything here, I'll see if everything still works, and then fucking dropped Maya back on and went through the scenes and was like, nah, everything's intact. So like everything I had up to like 2022 for Minecraft stuff was still together. Even some really early stuff that I didn't think I had, and like 99% of it's there. So I was like, nah, fuck it, we'll do it. Dave's all right. All right, let's get back to animating the scene here. What time is it, anyways? All right, no, actually, I'm making good time. Okay. Yesterday I spent 3 hours dicking around with fucking set design and took fucking forever. All right, so boom, opens the door a bit, and then all the way open. All right, where's my queue times? 40 frames, and then 80, 48. Okay. I need to have a little exposure sheet open. There's a piece of software I was using for one of the projects a couple of years ago, and I enjoyed it, but problem is it doesn't. It's proprietary, and I don't fucking have it anymore, which sucks. Because actually I loved it. It was handy. Makes using fucking base. I was always kind of like loved vanilla Maya, working in shit, doing animating, but now working with some of the other systems, like Presto style systems, is like, fuck it, I get it. Why you don't use vanilla Maya for that shit anymore. All right, so he's gonna start. So we actually don't see him at all until that door starts to slide. So you know what? I'm gonna help myself out here and move this over half a block, just to make it easier for me to not see him in the process here. Yeah, let's do that. Because I realize that door handle is going to be on the opposite side. So let's go ahead and get him into pose here. I want to get him to pose after he cracks it open, because this is actually the first time you're going to see him. All right, so let's get him into pose here. Let's turn off select geometry. Often use layers, but with Minecraft stuff, I never reckon used it very often. Maybe because everything just uniform. It's not a lot of overlap. All right, so I kind of want to hand here. Let's go ahead and put this on world space mode. Do I need to update that? You know what? I want to update that. So I'm going to go to parent constraint here. I need a UI controller for this fucking shit. All right. Yes. Key that beforehand, and then update that. And then, oh wait, the scale thing was fucking going to jack this up a bit. Oh, it's worked. Okay, we're good. Whew. All right. It's updating the local space for this hand here. And this hand here, let's put it on world space. So because he's interacting with something in the world space here, it's a little bit easier on the set. It's a little bit easier to actually have his arms moving around world space, not tied to his torso or his head. So, and then I kind of want him to stand back a bit. Let's get one leg back here. And I kind of want to get him in that stance a bit as he's going to be pushing that door open. So when that door actually starts to open, he's going to be already in pose. And twist on those feet here. I'm going to, on his hips, I'm going to dampen it just a bit. There we go. And then let's kind of turn his face over a little bit. I kind of want to square out his hand with that door. Something like that. All right, and then, oh, that's right. I need to, oh, motherfucker. I need to move this. Something like that. There we go. All right. This doesn't want that arm popping prematurely. All right. So if it's going to be right there, I don't really want to lock his hand to the door. Sometimes I will, but since it's just one direction, I'm not going to do that. Let's pull his arm back a little bit. And let's make this linear here. Does that bounce back just a bit? Got a little bit of drag in there, but it's all right. Good enough. Fuck it. Otherwise, I gotta lock it to the door, and I'm like, nah, fuck it. It's one direction. All right, choose that. Boom, and then kind of want him to lean in a little bit when that happens, so we can get a little bit of an eye creak, peeking, creaking, peeking, creep, peeking, creep is creeping. That's what I fucking want to say, creeping. All right, so pull his head back a bit here, and then boom. Maybe lift that up a little bit. Howdy. All right. And then before that door slides over, I want to get to him kind of change his weight here. So about 64 to 72. We kind of hold it, and then we start to have him kind of duck a little bit. And then we're going to have him kind of twist and push his way into that door here. Not quite yet. Just getting his stance ready to do it. And then a little passive hold here. Here we go. And I think I'm going to actually put his end pose here this time around for this one. So we end what? We end at 102. Not the overshooting. Just click on the goddamn object. It'll fucking tell me. 105. All right. I want you to be 106. Fuck you. All right. For no reason whatsoever. All right. Yeah, we'll do that. So I'm going to do here is I'm going to set all his keys on this frame here. And then 102 here. Do the same thing again. All right. So I kind of wanted to maybe do a step on that turn or on that slide. He's not going to quite reach that door at that point. And I can't, you know what? I need him to step back a little bit too. So when he's gonna slide that door over, he's gonna twist too. So we're gonna twist him, and let's get that arm on that door as well. That'd be kind of handy though on this door is to have a marker on the height value on this door. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of split this door a few times, just to make it easier for me to use it as a grid to kind of see where his hand's at. There's no other identifiers there besides the Z value or the Y value to know how high his hand is at. All right, so we're gonna pull that over, and we're gonna. So at this point here, he's probably gonna let go of the door somewhere about 95, 96. He's probably not gonna go that far, but I want him to be touching this right now on the door because it'll help me keep that straight line gesture with him pushing that door over. So I'm gonna kind of keep that on the door for now. And his other hand here is probably going to be thrown back. That's a counterweight balance. And then I'm going to go ahead and lock the wrist on that. I don't need a bendy wrist going on. And let's kind of twist his elbow up a little bit. And let's go ahead and throw on autoclave. Also want him I want his head to be locked to the world space. So after this gesture here, somewhere between here and there, I want to lock his head. So I'm going to hold this for whatever eye blink he has before he... Well, you know what? We can actually hold that all the way to like 72. And there we can turn that on. There we go. So what that is, it just locks his head to the world space. I can toggle in between back and forth. Because I want him to kind of stay looking at the door at one point, but here I want him to actually be facing towards the camera. Keeps him kind of creepy. And let's go ahead and move that leg out a little bit further. Let's rotate that hip. I kind of want to keep a nice kind of straight line gesture with this, even though his torso is twisted. And then let's go ahead and roll that foot up a little bit. We can actually pull him up a little bit further. And then we can probably take the twist out. Keep the twist in. No. Knee snap. I don't need to do that. I need lock. There it is. Same with this leg here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the twist on that one, or turn it all the way on. No, you know what? I like 0.5. What that is that it just locks his top of his legs to his torso. So I can get a more uniform shape, so I don't have to worry about the blocks, his legs intercolliding with his hip too much. That's good old Maya. Speaking of which, let's get some beautification here. So slide. So that worked out pretty good just for a long post to post. So it took out a lot of the work for me in that process there. So on that, throwing that car though, of that door back, I kind of want him to throw his weight this way a bit before dipping down a little bit and then throwing his weight upward. Maybe not that far. Maybe a little higher. And then we'll keep his foot locked to the ground here too until it starts to stretch out a little bit. And then this. So I was going to end up having that foot kind of step up a little bit. I don't think you're going to see much of it occur. Maybe in the last couple frames. So I'm going to just kind of rotate that toe up a little bit. We might see it kind of land. So actually I'm not going to animate his leg stepping into that pose because we're not going to actually see it. All right, this little bendy in the back action right here is I'm not happy with, so I'm going to turn that twist off. And I'm going to go ahead and why is he so crunched right there? Oh, it's that sway. I know why. Never mind. Because of that twist and sway thing going on. Yep. Okay, never mind. We're good. Boom. I'll just leave it as is. So, dip, dive, duck, dodge, duck, dive, dodge. Oh, fuck, I'm missing one. Dip, dive, duck, dodge, dodge, dip, dive, duck, and dodge. Ooh, what the fuck is that leg doing there? Hey, leg, what's up, bro? All right. And then he's going to relax his pose here. And then settle. So when he comes in here, probably going to get his foot maybe somewhere around here. Straighten up that foot a bit. Up, down. There we go. It's a little too smooth for me. I like my stuff chunky. So we're gonna, there we go. Hello, hello. 3D animation is fun and pain. Fun and pain. It should just be a shirt for animators. This animator, and this is fun and pain. Yeah, that's about right. So just gonna push off here, and then kind of get some more of that thrust in his body up here, and then settle down, and then up. And I kind of want to slow settle there because we're gonna get that other leg stepping in there too. So we're gonna squat and then up for the other leg to scoot in there, and then or settle. So throw it up, boom. Other leg will come in here, get that stance. Boom. I'm kind of get a little bit of toe lift on that foot here. Or heel lift, sorry. And toe, and then down. I actually want to move his foot forward a bit here. So I'm going to go to the graph editor and offset this. This is going to be the z-axis. So I want to take all these frames here and kind of move them forward a bit. And move these two here. Much more forward. Yeah, something like that. A little bit too soft right there on that foot. Settle. Nah, we're fine. Fuck it. It's like 2 frames. Wait, what? The arm is anchored to the wall and stretched automatically? Yeah, it can be. It's tied to local space. It's world space and local space constraints. That actually isn't tied to the wall. I just fucking keyframed it to the same points as where the door starts and stops. You can constrain it to that, but for me, it's just like, I don't need to. You can kind of see here at the end, his arm kind of wobbles off of it. But the whole point of this is that once we get about, right, what was it, about 92 we were talking about? Let's go 96. We're actually going to lift that arm off of it because the inertia push has already been established. So we're going to have it kind of push and then lift up. You know what? It kind of does look better fucking all the way through. So let's go all the way through and then start lifting it up. Let's kind of flick that wrist down a little bit. So it pushes in here, and then I want that. I don't want to keep that stretching that far to that degree. A little bit is fine. But nice thing is we'll just kind of dislocate his shoulder here because it's fucking Minecraft. So 96 here, we can start to move that shoulder down there. Like that. And then we can start bringing that shoulder back into its home position here. Pull that elbow out a little bit. We can put this at home and put his arm back at whatever position is going to be where he's going to get close to that point where he's going to be resting. And let's lock that wrist so I don't have to battle with that crunchiness. A little bit of a weird flick there on that wrist. It's going to push it down a little bit. Let's keep it kind of down. There we go. Sometimes I do. If it's something where the character is not if the character is interacting with the set, or the character's got to travel from point A to point B, I'll drop the scene in. If he's just interacting with 1 or 2 things, I just will. Normally, I'll have the props set up on there, but that's one of the nice things with the Minecraft stuff, since everything's on a grid in the Minecraft realm and it's block based. I can cheat it often and not have to worry about the character in the set, so I can get like 90% of the animation done without actually being involved in the set. But if the character is like gallivanting through the flowers and picks up a flower and stuff like that, yeah, I'm gonna need that set because he's interacting a lot with the environment, or he's got to move around props and stuff like that. For this character, for the TNT guy right here in the scene, he's just standing on a level, and so what I'll end up doing is like this door here, since it's grouped in this proxy, I'll literally will take this like his base controller here or his world space offset, and I'll take, we'll do it right now. I'll take this proxy and I'll just parent constrain it to this offset here. Make sure it's on offset. Yeah, we're good. So when I move him in the world space where he's going to be in the world. Oh, did I do that backwards? I did do that backwards. My bad. 1 second. There we go. Wherever he's going to be in the world space, I can just move him to whatever location, and that prop that he's interacting with will just move with it as well. So, I mean, that's typically what you would do anyways when you're working the animation. Because a lot of times sets, like if you're working in a scene with characters involved, sometimes there's stuff in the set that changes or needs to be updated by another team. You want to make sure that you'll be able to move your assets easily to if there's a change being made. If not, usually it's a situation where it's like cached with just the geometry is cached by a limbic, and then you just tweak the cache with an overriding deformer or scaling or whatever it may be to move them in place. But often if that's done that way, you do the other way around where you manipulate the set or the scene if the animation's already been done, because you don't want to spend a bunch of time reanimating a character, especially if it's a complicated scene, reintegrating with the whatever object he's interacting with. So it just depends on priority in that situation and which of them's more time saving. For me, is like I have the train car set up there, but I don't. I have original train cars, but I haven't decided if he's standing in the train car opening the door with the Bathysphere, kind of mentioned yesterday, that was being worked on, and I teased it, or he's going to be in a different train car with it at the moment. So depending on where his location is on the shot, I haven't made that determination yet. So there's no reason for me to drop that scene in here and keep moving him around, not knowing if he's going to be in this spot A or spot B in the scenes. All I know is that confirmed is that he's sliding a boxcar door open. That's what he's doing. So that's all I need on the scene is that boxcar door sliding open or some representation of it. So it makes it easier too, and I don't have to worry about the other shit going on, and it keeps the files small. So, all right, let's go ahead and kind of dip that head in, and I kind of want him to look a little bit over to the door, but then lock back into. There we go, perfect. All right, and then I think I'm actually gonna scoot that transition for that head here, because I kind of want him to do that peek out, and then I need him to kind of tilt his head back over. So I'm going to copy this frame, I'm going to paste it here, but I know I got that world space lock on there, so I'm going to make sure that it doesn't get too funky in that process. I'm actually going to pull his torso on that push a bit over. See, that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of this fucking door being so too close to his fucking hat. All right, so this is like, okay, we've got this issue going on here. I need to scoot him back, but I don't want to reanimate him. So I'm going to grab his base controller here and his feet, and I'm going to go find the Z-axis on these guys. That one, and his torso here. Grab all this shit and actually push all these back on the Z-axis just a bit. There we go. I can sometimes scale his hat back a bit, but now we can keep the same animation here. We're good to go. I get a pop in that leg. I want to get rid of that pop. There we go. So just scoot it over a frame. All right, let's get this arm going now. All right, so this is like the world space, local space I was talking about. So this arm is right now is tied to the local space. I want to, I mean, world space. I want to toggle it to the world space. So what I'll do is I'll make sure that that constraint, wherever it's at, there it is. I'll key it on the location, and then I'll update it. Key it if you want to, and then switch it over to the chess world space. And what it does is that it takes that information in the world space offset and allows me to reattach it to a different element in the world space in the environment. So like right now it's tied to his arm. So now whenever I move his torso around, that arm stays locked, but this other arm is tied to the world space. And this is just a really common toggle back and forth. You do this so fucking much in animation, especially with characters. Like a character is like feeding himself or combing their hair, and then fucking puts their hand on their hip, and you don't want to always have that hand being animated every frame as their hips moving around, all the little tiny movements. So you'll have it locked to that space of that hip. So you'll have these back and forth toggles all the time. Some rigs will have like a floating parent constraint system. So you basically just take this little locator and you point it where you want it to be, and the hand will always snap to that locator. And then you can always offset and move that around if you need to. And then there's ones where they're fixed, where like the Minecraft ones here are fixed, is where I just have it set up where it's his local space, like his hips or his head or the world, and which are the most common areas where his hands are going to be interacting with something. So I can just toggle between them and lock to that during the animation. So for this guy here, it's like right on that frame here with his hand moving down right here, immediately goes from world space to local space. Boop, and we just won't see it happen. There won't be any bump, any jiggle or anything like that. It'll just be nice and smooth. I want to flip his elbow though. Arm up, because this dude's one, just like all the other Minecraft motherfuckers, just always put their hands on their hip. And then, boom. And he's got a little bit of a jacket on, so I want to make sure that keeps some room for that jacket. Pull that shoulder up a little bit. Boom. Drop that shoulder down, and so forth. Just kind of like the gesture did earlier today. I'm going to put some weight on that hip, so he doesn't really have a good stance right now. It's just still kind of transitioning. So he stops there, and let's kind of make him kind of stand straight up here. Arches back a bit. What up, bro? Let's fix this. Chest here. Just kind of wonk here. Got all kinds of crunchiness going on here. I'm going to cut that out. And then maybe a little settle right here. So I want to get that other foot out here too, because stance is kind of dumb. Step, step, and then let's get a wider stance here. He is on a moving train car at the moment. I think he's moving. No, might not be moving at this point. I think he's actually stopped. So let's go ahead and move that weight over under that foot, just like the other animation. And then up. And I'm going to straighten up that leg here too. Get a little bit of twist in it I don't want. Let's get that other arm going too. This other arm I don't want to go back into the world space. I mean local space. I'm going to keep it in the world space. So up and down on this hip. Notice that this is what I was talking about. See how these hips still moving around, but this hand's no longer moving around. So now I gotta kind of move that hand with that hip. And since it's just a few frames, I can kind of get away with it. And it's going to straighten his torso just a bit. But if it floats any more than this, I will not fucking fuck with it. Oh, you know what? His hand actually needs to go out a bit because of the jacket. I just forgot about the jacket width on this thing, so we're gonna stick that hand out just a bit. Float it about right there. And then up. Good enough. Same as this hand, though. I gotta move this hand out a little bit because of that fucking jacket. Or duster, whatever it is. Let's move that hand back a little bit further, actually. There we go. I kind of want him to throw that elbow up a little bit higher. I want that hand to kind of go into his hip a little bit more forceful. All right, so he does this, looks at the door, checks that out. He's trying to lift this up a little bit. I don't want him to break eye contact yet. And then down. That knee's still doing weird shit. That's kind of wonky. And then I want him to turn and look at his mates here. At least one of them is going to be in here in the car. I know that. Not much to the scene. I mean, it's pretty far away too. It's gonna be like this in the shot. So I'm not gonna put much more effort into this one. What do you mean by do I plan my rigs? Kind of lost you on that one. Oh, okay, like the rigs themselves. So when you're doing rigs initially, you need to know what your rig is going to perform. So it doesn't matter what it is. So if you're making a rig and the character is going to be performing these actions, you know right off the bat, you need to make sure that that character can perform those actions. So often you'll start with the base kind of layout, the necessity what the rig may need, but depending on just visually what the character is going to be looking like and what the character is going to be interacting with and how that character is going to interact with that stuff. Um, Definitely will determine what's going to be integrated in the rig. So, like, there's a project right now that I'm working on that seemed very straightforward, but because of their character design and their character design is kind of odd, it's kind of unconventional. It required some extra planning on how these characters are acting. And the funny thing is they're very short sequences, but for these characters not to break their art style and to carry out their actions that are needed for the scenes, I actually end up having to backtrack and add features to the rigs that I didn't think it was going to be necessary because of that issue. So that happens often where you're in the middle of development and you realize that your character cannot perform the rig cannot perform actions well that the is being directed, and you have to go back and integrate those features. I mean, DigBuildLive stuff is stuff where I just fucking add stuff as they come across, and these rigs are super modular. Um, um, so, like just the other day, I wanted X's for the character's eyes, so I ended up adding a feature where it's over here, where I can X out their eyes. So I just put a slider in there that I can now have a character fucking X out their eyes when the situation occurs. So because I needed that for the scene, the base rig that controls all these other the reference file for all these rigs is integrated. So now all the characters that use this base rig has this new feature, and this happens as it goes along. But depending on how the rig is set up, you can either integrate that stuff or sometimes you end up having to build a new rig. But this allows me for the Minecraft stuff to be able to add features to rig systems and not have to go back and reanimate something. Yes, a couple of people like to use lattices for everything. So for like these rigs, like you can just add features to it and just tie it to the lattice for those rigs. And there's all kinds of ways to do that for those like wraps and stuff like that. Um, I mean, for these rigs themselves, I have like all those things basically. So I can make this guy gooey if I wanted to. I can keep him soft and rigid. I'm able to go back and forth on a lot of those features. Um, so let's see. Let's go to some lower level shit here. Um, let's see. Where would those be? Where did I put those fuckers? Oh, I don't know why I can't see them because I don't have them toggled on. Deformers. There we go. All right. So like for styling the characters, I use like a secondary like lattice system, so I can actually change the characters' proportions and stuff. I can stylize these characters, and he actually has a stylization for his setup where, like on the fly, if I needed to tweak something, I can change something or make him breathing or something like that in that process of that rig. So it allows me to do all these kind of things that can change the setups here without having to destroy the rig in the process. So it's kind of handy, you know. No, sorry, you can ask questions. That's the whole thing about streaming these sometimes is just asking those questions. And so, like I just fucked with this guy. I'm not going to use this, so I'm just going to toggle it off. I mean, I have systems where there's let's see, Fim here. Well, this will change the proportions of all the characters' location for the joints because like the female characters, they have typically a little bit longer legs, narrower torso, things like that. So on the fly, I can just toggle that on, and so all the female characters have that. And literally, like any of the characters can be, I can like turn this guy into like a villager. I keep saying testificate from fucking like 20 years ago. Fuck, I don't know, 12 years ago. But yeah, I can just literally toggle on villager mode, and this guy fucking has a giant forehead, and uh, give him the fucking villager nose and stuff like that. And all the stuff can be toggled on in the middle of an animation if I wanted to. So, like toggle off his ears, you know. And so this stuff is integrated in on the characters as you know time progresses if it's necessary for that character to have it. Same thing with like the joint systems I have. I do the joint system setups like I do for the heavier rigs. I do for commercial spots and things like that, where you have your base rig, and then on top of that rig you have a driving system, and that driving system is going to be like the FK, IK systems and stuff like that. And then if you look even deeper on these guys, you'll see the chain system. So this allows me to do the weird shit, like if I needed to make these guys rubbery or bendy and stuff like that. Literally can do that on these rigs. I can grab these guys and give them bendy properties and stuff like that. But I don't use them. But every once in a while, those situations do pop up, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I had that on that rig. So I just make sure that they actually have that availability if I end up needing it. I mean, there's things like ran into a sequence where I don't use for Minecraft very much, but do for other scenes where a character had to lock their elbows in the world space. So I ended up having to add an elbow lock where basically I can lock the elbow down to a certain position, like on the top of a table and stuff, and still gesture the arm around, and being able to, let's turn off that lock. Where is it? Elbow snap, elbow lock. Fuck, I forgot which one it is. It's one of those. I don't remember which one it is. But allows me to lock that elbow to that location. So the elbow will stay snapped to the top of the table and I can still gesture with their hands. It's just the modularity of these kind of things. And like as time progresses, Minecraft rigs usually didn't really have all these features, but sometimes they're just like, fuck, I wish I could do that with the scene and just make it easier. And I just end up adding it to the rig. So like out of everything that's been like evolved from Minecraft, they've just become basically full set rigs with Minecraft skins on them. And like I get lazy and it's like, I don't want to do wrists. I can turn off the wrists and then I can keep the fucking wrists on, or I can, you know, fucking all kinds of shit. I'm gonna break these fucking down. I'm days on this stuff. All right. Anyways, I need to undo the shit that I was fucking janking on here. Viewport. But that's just pretty much the norm for fucking systems, though. Nothing about it is fucking spectacular. And let's turn off the fucking deformers here. Let's get back into the shit. All right. So he stands there. That's pretty much it. I'll just get some little bit of face gesture in here. I don't want his expression to change at all. Well, you know what he can do? He can actually pull out his cigar in this situation if I wanted to. Yeah, you know what? Let's fucking do that. Let's just have him add a little bit of umph here and have him grab that cigar out of his mouth and fucking tap it. So, speaking of which. All right, I can gesture at his boys here for a second. They're going to do their thing. And I think I got a little bit of time where I can go. Yeah, let's go ahead and set those. Set it in frame here. It's not something like I developed. The rigid bend thing has been around a lot longer than I've been alive, dude. I mean, they started doing that shit back in the mid '80s when early CGI. It's just stylization. It's just the way you deform it. I mean, the way I do this too is different than I did 10 years ago. I mean, there's a dozen different ways to do these things. And like this one set up here, I thought I don't use lattice for this one. Lattices will make it easy to do these kind of things, but this is not lattice oriented, and this is not blend shape oriented either. I mean, I don't think I have any blend shapes on these guys. These are just driven by joint, and I go back and forth. Is like joint systems are pain in the ass to fully integrate to get them what you want because of how much time it takes on them. But what's nice about it is that it makes them more modular. So if I have to add or subtract or make any changes to it or adapt other rigs to this, it makes it very easy. It's. I mean, there was a time I think one of the rig systems, I think it was doing Jordan stuff. I used lattices for everything, and it was fine. It made it like the rigs, like a couple hours, be done with a fucking full set rig. But I didn't like the gooiness of it. And during that time, a lot of folks that liked the gooiness, soft kind of cartoon pliability of it. But as I progressed, it's like, you know, I don't care for it. I'd rather have the rigid shape. So things evolve. All right, let's see here. Let's get him up to that. I might have to actually bust out a finger for this. No. All right. I hardly use fingers anymore. I really don't like using them anymore. I kind of chunky. All right. So let's see. He's gonna kind of pull his arm out a little bit. Kind of get a nice round gesture to that. And since it's still tied to the world space, I need to be careful with that. But I want to make sure that this target point here is where I want it to be when he gets there. So when he throws his arm out, I kind of want him to kind of pull his torso out the other direction here. Just a bit. And then return to that spot. maybe kind of look at his cigar there for a second before he decides to pull it out of his mouth. So we're going to move this and his hand together at the same time. So we're going to continue that gesture moving up. Just a bit. I'm going to give it a little bit of time, so if I do pull out that finger, I can grab it. And then I want to throw that arm out. I'll probably have the cigarette or the cigar in his hand at that moment, so I'm just going to toggle this. Sometimes I end up doing parent constraints with the cigar from his mouth to his hand, but this one I think I'm just going to actually just toggle the damn thing. Like basically have one in his mouth, one in his arm, and then show hide it. So right here is where we're going to lose it. And I kind of want to throw his wrist back in here. So we're going to line up his wrist back up here, just to make it a little bit easier to... Ooh, we got some funk going on here. Oh, I know why. There we go. Oh, I lost my spot. Damn it. Boo. Fucking tangent. That sucks. Anyway. Wrist lock. Turn that off so I can kind of curl his wrist back up a bit. Yeah, the mouse can go from round to square. I typically like using, is this the one? Yeah, this one here. This is the one this is my multi-purpose kind of slider here, which basically kind of works from going from round to square, depending on the size of the mouse shape. And this is the one I kind of use all the time, instead of going full round. It's kind of like my lazy slider. It's like an in-between one. So that's the one I use often. All right, so we're going to grab that cigar. Then you're going to kind of flick it down a little bit. Tap, tap. So this flick needs to be kind of tight. Let's put this on the world space here. I mean, object space. Doom. So we go down. Ooh, we janked that up. Hold on. Yep, I janked that up. God damn it. Lost my line here. There we go. More frames. And then we're going to go back to his mouth, and we're just going to copy this frame here. and bring it up to his mouth here. Let's get a slow retrieval on that. And then I kind of grab a frame up here and kind of move it up a little bit so it's the easy in, easy out kind of thing. And then I think I'm going to have him change his stance a little bit in between that shit. So when he flicks here, I kind of want him to lean his back a little bit forward and then back a bit. And then kind of go back in and back out. Not much, just a little bit of, maybe put a little bit of weight on that other foot here. And then back up. Oops, that's too much. There we go. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Nah, I got the music though. Thanks, man. I got the music for the next couple episodes already done. And then once he puts his head in, so take that in. We'll maybe have him inhale. I need to pull that arm out a little bit. And then back out. Do appreciate the offer. And we'll put his arm back on his hip. No, I don't want his arm on the way hip yet. We're actually not going to have enough time to put that in there. Like frame rate time. Let's see. It's going to just start to let go of that stogie of his. All right. All right, I'm going to find that stogie again, and we're going to go ahead and toggle it back on when he returns it. So, probably right there. Boop. All right, so this is like the old toggle hack here. So I'm going to go ahead, instead of doing a parent constraint here, we're just going to take this cigar here. We're going to duplicate it, and I'm actually going to parent it to, fuck it. I don't want to parent it to the controller because the controller is actually not exactly mapped where his hand's at. I mean, it's pretty close, but if you look at the way the rotation is on the hands, depending on what's going on, it's like if I have wrist lock on, it's not going to be tied to that. So what that actually needs to be parented to, which is a weird spot, it's going to be a bone way underneath his system here. So I'm actually going to show it because I don't remember the fuck that was called. It's going to be not that guy. It's going to be that one right there. So we're going to... Spike constraints are nice so you don't have to dig into that shit. We're going to... Is that the bind? Nope. I want the bind. That guy right there. There we go. So... So in that frame where he disappears there, was it 195? I'll probably rotate that stogie a little bit, depending if I turn the fingers on or not. I haven't decided yet. And then here, we turn it back on. Oop. One frame too early. There we go. There we go. That's the old hacky way of doing that shit. Boop. Let's see here. Grab that guy. Doot doot. Doot doot. Tap tap. All right, so that tap tap there, I want to kind of roll on the edge of his finger here. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to roll this center point for that stogie right at the edge. Since that's where it's kind of sitting anyways, I'm going to go ahead and kind of put it right there. And I'm not going to worry about the fucking gap between him and that stogie. I've been doing that a lot with the Minecraft stuff where I'll just have the stuff kind of float in their hand. All right, so when he grabs it here, I'm actually going to slowly rotate it outward. So when he shakes it, I can jostle it. There we go. I want a little bit more rigid on that last jostle there. There we go. And then back into the mouth he goes. Yeah, it was a frame off. I knew it. Motherfucker. Fuck you. Oops, see, it was. God damn it. I'll leave it there. Ah! I hate when I do that shit. Alright, so I gotta take this fucking hand. Since I moved it. Close enough. Whatever. Close enough. All right. You know what? Where's my toggle for the my manual controls? Oh shit. I just realized I don't have my toggle turned on for this for my manual controls here on the lips. Fucky fucky. Where the fuck is that? That's annoying. Show viewpoint. I got a bug. You know what? I'm gonna see this mystery right now. Oh, maybe it's tied to this. Controls? There it is. Haha, I put it up there. My bad. Like, where those fuckers went? There they are. All right, show viewpoint. I can't remember those words. I haven't pulled those out in a couple of years. Let's see. That's funny. Which ones are these? Oh, these are tied to. These are the old ones tied to my. I actually have a zip mouth on this too, and I forgot that I have those set up. It's just not toggled on. All right, I gotta fix that toggle though for that. All right, let's see. So when he comes in, and see when it starts to shut his mouth here, I want to kind of form fit this just a little bit. I'm not gonna, usually I don't get that anal with the stuff with the Minecraft stuff, but today I am. Good thing I did too, so I can go back to the base rig and fix that issue. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Let's turn this off. Don't need this on anymore. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, bum, ba-dum. I think I used to have these on the scale where they can pinch one side. I think I'm going to add that back in there. So talking about like planning rigs is like I kind of like the ability just to pinch one side of the mouth instead of having those other controls. So I'll probably add a scale control attribute to this so I can actually pinch the side of the mouth manually. That'd be kind of handy. So I don't have to do that shit. All right. And same thing with this teeth slider. So I'm going to actually do the cartoon kind of thing and kind of pull his teeth out a little bit. And then I'm going to offset those teeth, the jaw a little bit too when he does that. Just a bit. There we go. No, I really don't stream. I just do that stuff usually on like Fruit Loops and stuff. No, I probably won't stream music. I kind of do it in bouts, so this is a day. I'll just fucking do all the music stuff in one day, and then I'll just use whatever I got. I don't really fine tune that shit. All right, let's give him a blink here. So he comes in here. Gonna turn his head here, give him a blink. And then kind of wrap the scene up here a bit. Bump, bump, bump. Let's see here. Give another blink there on that. I kind of hold his eyes closed there for a while. That needs to be a lot faster. Let's try getting some of that secondary animation in here. Let's turn off that fucking polygon selection. Let's drop the other brow down a little bit. Too soon. Oh, come on, controller. Get a little bit of a spittle kind of swallow there. Drop that mouth down. And back up. Like a bouncing ball kind of thing. There we go. A little bit more squint on this eye though when there we go. Gonna break up the symmetry there a little bit. Coffee painting. I mean, at the cafe. I've painted for a while. I just oil paint. I do other gigs besides just sitting at the machine all day. I picked up painting again, oil painting again, last year. Cause I needed to get off the computer. So I spent the entire fucking year just fucking painting. Hardly was ever at the computer at all. And so now I just kind of do it as my other gig as painting, and I'm enjoying it. I'll probably when I get the camera on, I'll probably set up a backdrop here, and I'll probably have like a pile of paintings behind me. All right, see where we're at on this animation. I'm starting to drag now. I think it's time for lunchy munchies. All right, so we can set and gestures. It's like, yeah. All right, let's see. Well, you know what? I gotta do some fucking eyeball and eyebrow work right there. Let's get to that real quick so we can wrap this up. Good enough. I might come back in and tighten it up just like the other scene from earlier. Let's go ahead and turn on this trench coat. And let's go ahead and turn this off. Enable that. Enable that. And let's put this guy at a home position here. So it makes it easier for the stuff to cache out. Bum 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 ba dum bum ba dum. And then I need to turn off the collider for his head too, because it's cut into his jacket a little bit. There it is. All right, let's give it a cache. Hello. Hello, hello. And that's that. Good to go. Thanks, man. So that was a couple animations today. So far on this one. These are kind of minor though. But I'm at the zone now for some of these episodes where they're just filling the sometimes the transitional animations. I got a little bit of wonk on that other arm, but I might fix it, might not. One of those things where it's like, I'll do one pass. Good enough for me. Like I mentioned before, I rarely ever do a secondary pass on Minecraft animations. But this one gets the job done. All right. Well, that's a wrap. And thanks for watching and shit. And maybe tomorrow, maybe not. I don't know. I might stream again. But thanks for watching.